So let's go ahead and start by coming into a wide squat. So, your legs are wider than shoulder distance apart. They don't have to be super duper wide, but wide enough that you can sit down in a squat like this and your knees can be over the top of your ankles. If your stance is too narrow, as you sit down, your knees will extend out. You don't want to do that. You want to kind of keep your knees over the top of your ankles, even if it means you're not sitting down as low, that's fine. But just kind of sit as low as you can and then gently kind of sway side to side, placing your hands on your knees so you can kind of push from your hands through your shoulders. So you're using your hands to push your knees back toward the back of your room. And then just gently sway a little bit side to side. Hopefully that starts to warm up your hips just a little bit, and maybe you can start to sink just a little bit lower. As you feel comfortable, you can go a little bit more to the side, or you can keep the movement small. It doesn't really matter. We're just warming up here. Now go ahead and put your hands on the ground in front of you. Rotate your toes to point a little bit more forward. And then you're going to drop your head and push your hips up to the sky as you straighten your legs. And then bend your knees, dropping your bottom. And then straighten your legs again and lift your hips up. And then bend your knees and drop your bottom as you look up. And then straighten your legs and fold forward. And then bend your legs and look up. Just do that a couple more times, just kind of warming up our legs. And one more time. And this time when you come down into a squat, see if you can bring your elbows onto your thighs, pushing your knees back. Now go ahead and place your hands on your knees and you're going to rotate from one side to the other. So pushing on one knee while straightening that arm and turning toward the opposite arm. And then coming back to the center and then straightening the other arm and turning the opposite direction. So you're going side to side. So if you're straightening your right arm, then you're turning your torso to the left, pushing the right knee back. And then the opposite, straightening the left leg, pushing the left knee back, and turning your torso toward the right. Just a couple more times. And now next time you're kind of coming back towards the middle, go ahead and put your hands back in front of you. Straighten your legs one more time. And then walk your feet in towards each other so your feet are close together. And then come all the way up to standing. Bring your hands to prayer at the heart. Maybe tilt your head down slightly. Just take a couple of deep breaths here. And try to let go of all the stress from the week or from this morning. And let's focus on being here in this moment. On your next inhale, open your eyes, raise your arms up to the sky and look up. And exhaling, fold forward. Inhaling, look up. Take your right knee to the back of the mat. Take your left knee to the back of the mat and come into chaturanga. Then inhale to upward facing dog. And exhaling, push your hips back to downward facing dog. So this is our first down dog. of the day. So take your time and feel what feels right for your body. If it's moving your legs or moving your torso forward and back, or whatever it is. And just settle into it for a few breaths. And your feet are about hip distance apart. And your hands are about shoulder distance apart out in front of you with your fingertips pointed forward. And trying to keep your back straight. And moving your hips up toward the sky. On your next inhale, take your right leg up to the sky. Bring your right foot forward in between your hands. Bring your left foot forward in between your hands and fold. And inhale and come all the way up to standing with your arms up overhead. And then bring your hands to prayer. Inhaling, lift your arms up and look up. Exhaling, fold forward. Inhale, lengthening your back and look up. And exhale, your left leg to the back of the mat, right leg to the back of the mat, and chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog, and exhale to downward facing dog. And we'll stay here for a few breaths. And see if you can push just a little bit more through your hands this time compared to the last one. Pushing your shoulders toward your feet or your knees. Extending those arms. One more breath. And on your next inhale, take your left leg up to the sky. Bring your left foot forward. And bring your right foot forward and fold. And inhale and come all the way up to standing. Raising your arms up overhead. And then bringing your hands to prayer at the heart. Inhale, lift your arms up and look up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale and look up. And take your right foot to the back of the mat and your left foot to the back of the mat and come into chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. So you might be settling into it now, a little bit warmer maybe than the first couple. But feel free to move around if you still need to. And one more breath. And on your next inhale, take your right leg up to the sky. Bring your right foot forward. And bring your left foot forward and fold. And inhaling, come all the way up to standing with arms up overhead. And then bring your hands to prayer. One more round just like this. Inhaling, arms up and look up. Exhaling, fold forward. Inhale and look up. Exhale, your left knee to the back of the mat. Right knee to the back of the mat. And chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. And maybe now your heels are a little bit closer to the ground. Your shoulders are warming up a little bit. On your next inhale, take your left leg up to the sky and bring your left foot forward and bring your right foot forward and fold. And exhaling, come all the way up to standing and then bring your hands into prayer. Now we'll go into series B. Inhaling, go ahead and sit your bottom down like you're sitting in a chair. Your knees over the top of your ankles, being able to see your toes as you look down, but try to keep your chest lifted. Exhaling, straighten your legs and fold over. Inhale and look up. Exhaling, take your right foot to the back of the mat, take your left foot to the back of the mat and come into chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. On your next inhale, take your right leg up to the sky. Bring your right foot forward, swivel your left heel down. So coming into warrior one, your front knee is bent with the knee over the top of the ankle. Your back leg is straight with the toes angled in. Your hips are facing forward. And lift your arms up toward the sky. And exhaling, put the hands on either side of that foot, right foot to the back of the mat, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale to downward facing dog. On your next inhale, take your left leg up to the sky, and bring your left foot forward, swivel your right heel down, coming into warrior one on this side. So again, your front knee is bent with the knee over the top of the ankle. The back leg is straight with the weight going to the outer edge of that back foot. Hips are facing forward. And bring your arms up toward the sky. And exhaling, place your hands down on either side of that foot. Left foot to the back of the mat, chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog for a couple of breaths. On your next inhale, take your right leg up to the sky and bring your right foot forward. Then bring your left foot forward and sit your bottom down in Utkatasana. And exhaling, straighten your legs and fold forward. And inhaling, come all the way up to standing with your arms up to the sky. And then hands to prayer. Inhaling, sit your bottom down like you're sitting in a chair. Exhaling, fold forward, extending your legs. Inhaling, look up. Exhaling, take your left foot to the back of the mat and your right foot to the back of the mat in chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. Now come forward into plank. We're just going to do 2 Spider-Man push-ups. So bring your left knee up towards your left shoulder or your elbow, whatever you can get to, your upper arm. And then either stay there or then come into a push-up position with the leg in that same position. And then extend your arms and go into downward dog with the lifted left leg. And then put that left foot down. And come forward to plank one more time. And now this time bring your right knee towards your right shoulder or elbow. And either stay there or See if you can do a push-up like that. And then push back into downward dog with the lifted right leg. And put that right foot down. On your next inhale, take your left leg up to the sky. Bring your left foot forward, rotate your right heel down, and come up into warrior one. Exhaling, your hands on either side of that foot. The left foot goes to the back of the mat. Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. And one more time, come forward. We'll do the Spider-Man push-ups. We'll do the other side first. So bring your right knee towards your right shoulder or right upper arm. And either stay there or do a push-up. Push back to down dog with a lifted right leg. And put that right foot back down. And then come forward. Spider-Man push-up on the other side. Left knee to left elbow or shoulder. And chaturanga in that position. And pushing back to down dog with a lifted left leg. And the left leg comes to the ground. On your next inhale, take your right leg up to the sky. Bring that right foot forward, swivel the left heel down. And come into warrior one. Exhaling, hands on either side of that foot. Right foot to the back of the mat. Chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog for a few breaths. Really pushing those hips up toward the sky. You're pushing through the palms of your hands. One more breath here. On your next inhale, take your left leg up to the side. Bring your left foot forward. Bring your right foot forward and sit in Utkatasana. Exhaling, fold forward. And inhaling, come all the way up to standing with your arms up overhead. And then bring your hands to prayer. Inhaling, sit your bottom down like you're sitting in a chair. Exhaling, fold forward. Inhaling, look up. Exhaling, take your right foot to the back of the mat. And take your left foot to the back of the mat, chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. Now come forward like you're coming into plank. So your shoulders, your hips, and your knees, and your ankles are all in a straight line. Your shoulders are over the top of your wrists. And now we're just going to do a couple of rounds of coming down onto our forearms. So come down onto your left forearm, then your right forearm, and then come back up onto your left hand, and then your right hand. So left forearm, right forearm, left hand, right hand. Left forearm, right forearm, left hand, right hand. One more time. Left forearm, right forearm, left hand, right hand. Then push back into downward dog. Inhale your right leg up to the sky. And then bring your right foot forward, swivel your left heel down, and come into warrior one. And exhale, hands on either side of that foot, right foot to the back of the mat, chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog, and exhale to downward facing dog. And come forward into plank again. And then we're going to start on the other side. So right forearm, left forearm, right hand, left hand. We'll do a couple rounds like that. So right forearm down to the ground, left forearm down, and then onto your right hand and onto your left hand. Onto your right forearm, onto your left forearm, onto your right hand, and then left hand. Right forearm, right hand, left hand. One more time. Right forearm, right hand, left hand, And push back into downward dog. And on your next inhale, take your left leg up to the sky. Bring your left foot forward, swivel your right heel down, and come into warrior one. And exhaling, hands down on either side of that foot, left foot to the back of the mat, chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog, and we'll stay here for a few breaths. And feel free to take a child's pose if you need to, or if you want to. And on your next inhale, take your right leg up to the sky, and bring your right foot forward, and bring your left foot forward, and sit in Utkatasana. And exhaling, fold forward. And inhaling, come all the way up to standing, with your arms up overhead, and then bring your hands to prayer at the heart. And maybe just gently close your eyes there for a couple of breaths. And inhaling, gently open your eyes. And we'll go into our standing sequence. So inhaling, lift your arms up and look up. Exhaling, fold forward. Inhaling, look up. And take your right leg to the back of the mat, and take your left leg to the back of the mat, and come into chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog, and exhale to downward facing dog. Inhaling, take your right leg up to the sky, and bring your right foot forward. And we're coming into crescent. So your back leg is going to stay as it is with the weight on the ball of the foot and the heel pointed up toward the sky. So you're not rotating the heel down like we do for warrior one. You're just keeping the heel lifted. The front knee is bent with the knee over the top of the ankle. The hips are facing forward. And we're just going to stay here. So you can keep your hands on your hips or on your thigh, or lift them up overhead. However it feels comfortable. The back leg is going to stay straight if you can. And see if you can sink a little bit lower so you can try to bring this front thigh parallel with the earth. You want, you can turn this into a little bit of a back bend by reaching back with your arms and looking up. You don't have to. And wherever you are, go ahead and bring your hands to prayer. And we're going to go into a twist. So you're going to lean forward, maybe bring that back foot in just a little bit. And you're going to twist, bringing your left elbow toward the outside of your right knee, if you can. If you can't, you can place your left forearm on that thigh. But if you can get all the way twisted, then you can take your right upper arm to the outside of the left knee. Oh, I'm sorry, your left upper arm to the outside of the right knee. And then stay in that prayer twist, or you can extend your arms, placing your left hand on the ground outside of that foot, and then taking the right arm up to the sky. Or you can bind here if you wish. Trying to keep that front knee bent. Now we're gonna untwist and take ourselves into warrior two. So you may wanna nudge that back foot back just a little bit, keeping that front knee bent. And now we're opening our hips up toward the side, keeping the back leg straight with the weight to the outer edge of that back foot. And bring your arms up at about shoulder level. Your right arm extending forward and your left arm extending back. Tucking your tailbone under. And then see if you can sit just a little bit deeper. And your gaze can be forward beyond the middle finger of your front hand. Or wherever's comfortable for you. And try to make sure your torso is right over the top of your hips instead of leaning forward or back. One more breath here. And we're going to go into side angle. So you're going to place that right elbow onto your thigh in the front if you can. And if that feels easy, you can go ahead and place that right hand on the ground, on the inside of that foot. Rotating your shoulder so that your left shoulder is over the top of your right shoulder. And your left hip is over the top of your right hip. And you can bring your left arm up to the sky, or you can bring it up by your ears pointing forward in front of you. And you can stay here, or you can bind. Wherever you are, think about trying to open your chest up toward the ceiling if you can. And if you're bound, unbind. So we're going to go from here into half moon. So go ahead and take your right hand out in front of your right foot, maybe toward the baby toe side of the foot, and gently push off your back leg. So now your left leg is at hip level, extending out behind you, and your right leg is straight. Your hips are still stacked, and your shoulders are still stacked. You can keep your left hand on your hip, or you can lift that arm up toward the sky. And your right hand can stay on the ground or on a block in front of you, or it can come into the half namaste position. That back leg is part of your balance, so stay strong with that back leg, extending all the way out through your heel. If your right hand is off the ground, go ahead and put it back on the ground, and then slowly and gently come back into your warrior two. You may need to nudge that back foot back a little bit. And now reverse your warrior. Then windmill your hands on either side of that right foot. And take the right foot to the back of the mat and come into chaturanga. And inhale to upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog, and we'll stay here for a few breaths. Hopefully this feels a little different from your first downward dog. Hopefully your shoulders are a little bit more open and your hips too. On your next inhale, take your right leg up to the sky and bring your right foot forward and bring your left foot forward and fold over. And inhale and come up standing with the arms up overhead, and then bring your hands to prayer Now we'll do the other side. So inhaling, arms up and look up. Exhaling, fold forward. Inhaling, look up. And exhaling, take your left foot to the back of the mat and your right foot to the back of the mat and come into chaturanga. And inhale to upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. On your next inhale, take your left leg up to the sky and bring your left foot forward, coming into crescent. So again, the front knee is bent, put the knee over the top of the ankle. The back heel is pointed up toward the sky, with the back leg straight. Your hips are facing forward, and your hands can remain on your hips or on your thigh, or you can bring them up toward the sky. And see if you can sink your hips down a little bit more, trying to bring that front thigh parallel to the ground. And if you want, you can lift your chest up toward the sky, maybe give yourself a little bit of a back bend as you look up. And now go ahead and bring your hands to prayer. Lean forward over your front thigh. Maybe nudge your back foot in just a smidge, and we're going to do our twist here. So you're going to take your right elbow or forearm towards your left knee. If you can, try to get your right elbow outside your left knee, coming into this twisted prayer position. And if that feels good, you can straighten your arms, placing your right hand on the ground outside of the foot, and then lifting your left arm up toward the sky. Stacking your shoulders so that your left shoulder is over the top of the right. And you can stay here or you can bind in this position. And keeping that front knee bent, I'm going to rotate our back heel down onto the ground and maybe push that foot back just a little bit, opening our hips out toward the side for warrior two. So tucking that tailbone under, keeping the front knee bent, trying to bring that the left knee bent, keeping that thigh parallel to the ground if you can, and then bringing your arms up at shoulder level, with your left arm extending straight out in front of you and your right arm extending behind. Now we're going to come into side angle. So again, you can place your left elbow onto that knee, the front knee if you like, or if you want to go a little bit deeper and it's accessible for you, you can place your left hand on the ground inside of that foot. Bring your right arm either up to the sky or up by your ear with the fingers pointed forward. You're trying to stack your right shoulder over the top of your left shoulder, and your right hip over the top of your left hip. And you can stay here or you can bind. Trying to keep your chest open up toward the sky. And if your hands are bound, go ahead and unbind them. And we're going to come into our half moon on this side. You may want to nudge your back foot in a little bit, and then place your left hand to the front and toward the outer edge of your left foot. As you push off your right foot, bringing that right leg up straight behind you at hip level, with your right arm extended up toward the ceiling, with your right shoulder stacked over the left shoulder, and your right hip stacked over the left hip. Your left hand can be on the ground or on a block, or in a half namaste position. And go ahead and place your left hand back down on the ground, and then slowly and gently come back into warrior two. You may need to nudge that back foot back a little bit and keep that front knee bent. And now reverse your warrior. Looking back behind you with your right arm and your right leg. And come back up into warrior two, and then windmill your hands down on either side of that left foot. And take the left foot to the back of the mat and come into chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog, and exhale to downward facing dog for a few breaths. On your next inhale, take your left leg up to the sky. Bring your left foot forward, and bring your right foot forward and fold. And inhaling, come all the way up to standing with your arms up overhead. And exhaling, bring your hands to prayer at the heart. All right, next thing we're going to do is over at the wall. I forgot to mention that, a little piece of wall we need. So we're going to do the shoulder stretches that we did just a couple weeks ago. So we'll start, I'll take you through them both. So there's two exercises. So the first one is standing a little bit further away from the wall, maybe almost like, almost leg distance away from the wall. And then placing your hands straight in front of you at shoulder level. And then keeping your feet about hip distance apart, bending your knees as you drop your chest and your head through your arms, and then straightening your arms. So you're taking your head and your chest down toward the ground in between your arms. And we'll do 3 of those at your own pace. Try to stay about 8 or 10 seconds each time. And make sure you take a break. Then go ahead and finish up your last one if you're still doing it. And then we'll go on to the next one when you guys are ready. All right, so the next one is also one we've done before. So this time you're going to stand a little bit closer to the wall, and you'll have to figure out exactly what the right distance is for you. It has a lot to do with the flexibility in your back. You're going to put your arms up a little bit higher on the wall, and then you're going to start by bending your knees, and then trying to bring your chest and your armpits onto the wall. And then if you can get there, then you straighten the legs behind you. But that's a hamstring thing. So the most important thing, because we're working on our back and shoulders, is just to work on bringing your chest and your armpits toward the wall. And the higher up your hands are on the wall, the less flexibility it will require in your upper back. But try to keep your hands about shoulder distance apart and not too wide apart from each other. Some people like to hold a block in between their hands to keep their shoulders in. If you want, you're welcome to do that. And then to come out, if your legs were straight, then when you come out, you want to bend your knees just the way you went into it. And then come out. And just do a couple of rounds, just like we did on the other one, at your own pace. And go ahead and finish up your last one there. And when you're done, meet me at the top of your mat. Inhaling, take your hands up and look up. And exhaling, fold forward. And inhaling, lift your head up and look up. Exhaling, take your left foot to the back of the mat and your right foot to the back of the mat and come into chaturanga. And inhale to upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. Now from here, we're going to do just a couple of jumps. So you're going to keep your hands right where they are, about shoulder distance apart with the fingers pointed forward. And then you're going to bend your knees and then jump and bring your feet to the outside of your hands like you're coming into a wide squat. And then you're going to jump your feet back toward the back of the mat and go into downward dog. So again, you're going to bend your knees and jump, bring your feet to the outside of your hands, and then pushing your hips up and pushing off the ball of your feet. Take your feet to the back of the mat, back into downward dog. Then just do like a few more of those, 3 more of those. 1, 2, and 3. into downward dog after your last one. And on your next inhale, take your left leg up to the sky. Then bring your left foot forward. Bring your right foot forward and fold. And inhaling, come all the way up to standing with your arms up overhead. And then bring your hands to prayer. That's just a little exercise for your shoulders to warm up and also to gain some strength for handstands and that type of thing. Okay, we're going to go back to the wall now. And you're going to come down to your hands and knees. Basically, you want to have your feet up against the wall. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come forward. And you can just watch me, and then you can do it afterwards. So I'm going to start with this is my right leg. I'm going to keep my right foot at the base of the wall there, and my wrists are underneath my shoulders. And then I'm going to take the left foot and take it as high up on the wall as I can. And then I'm going to push back. So I'm pushing through my hands to push my hips closer to the wall. So it's basically like a hip flexor stretch. And the higher up you can get your leg on the wall, and then the more you can keep that leg straight, and the more you can push back, the more of a stretch you will get. So you might want some padding under your knees, like your folded mat or a sweatshirt or something like that. All right, so whenever you're ready, so you start with, just in terms of distance, if you just put your feet at the baseboard, then that's how far away your knee that's going to stay down will need to be. And then your wrists, again, are going to just be right under your shoulders. So let's go ahead and start with the right leg going up. So keeping your left foot at the baseboard, take your right leg as high up behind you on the wall as you can. And then try to keep that leg straight. And try to keep your arms straight. And then see if you can push a little bit and get your hips just a little bit closer to the wall. And then go ahead and come out. And now let's do the other leg. So keeping your wrists right under your shoulders. Now placing your right foot at the baseboard. Take your left leg as high up as you can get it, comfortably. And then again, try to keep that leg straight, and then push through your hands as you push the hips closer to the wall. And go ahead and come out of that. And then we'll do another variation on this. I think we did a long time ago, but you're going to stay in that same basic position. But this time, once we take the leg up, and I'm just going to show you, so just watch first. So you're going to take that leg up, starting in that same position we were just in. And then you're going to come forward, bringing your chest down right to the ground in between your hands. And then just take that leg up high, as high as you can. Trying to bring it up over your head. And the back knee you can keep bent and on the ground. All right, let's try it all together. So, starting in that same position with your feet at the baseboard and your knees on the ground, your wrists under your shoulders. Take your right leg up to the wall, and then just start with that stretch first, pushing your hips just for a second back toward the wall. And now come forward, placing your chest onto the ground in between your hands, and then bring that leg, right leg, up off the wall and lift it straight up overhead. And then push with your hands, bringing that right leg back to the wall behind you. And then bring it onto the ground. And now let's do the other leg. So with your right foot at the baseboard, take the left leg, high up on the wall, wherever you can get it, and just start by pushing your hips back toward the wall. And now bending your arms, bring your chest to the ground in between your hands, and then take that left leg off the wall and try to bring it up over your head. And push with your arms, straighten your arms, and bring that left foot back onto the wall. And then come out of it. Whew. So that's really good for our lower back active flexibility. So once you take that foot off, you're really dependent on your own muscles to bring that leg up, as opposed to pushing against the wall or the ground or whatever else. Okay, let's do some core now, and we'll come back to our back bending. So, all right, let's start. We're gonna do some planks today as part of our core. I'm just gonna pull up my timer. So we're gonna do like alternate forearm planks with some other core exercises. So each time we're in our plank, we're going to try to hold it for a minute if we can, and then we'll do another exercise and we'll come back to our planks. So forearm plank, before we start, you are on both forearms, and your hands can be together or they can be flat on the ground, but you don't want your elbows too far apart from each other. They should be just directly underneath your elbows. And then you're going to extend your legs out behind you, keeping your body pretty flat. The more forward your elbows are, the harder it is. I would recommend you just keep your elbows underneath your shoulders. All right, so go ahead and get ready. And then I'll tell you when. 3, 2, 1, let's go. So trying to keep your body flat if you can. Really engage your core. Think about sucking your belly button in towards your spine. And just breathe. And take breaks if you need to. Just working on some endurance. We're halfway there already. Shaking is good. If you're shaking, it means we're doing something. Only 15 more seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woohoo! Okay. And drop your belly down. And now we're going to go into our little Navasana exercises, which we've done a bunch. So coming on to your bottom in a seated position, we're going to alternate from either your knees bent or your knees straight Navasana to coming down into a low boat position, either keeping your arms at your sides or bringing your arms up overhead, and then coming back up into your boat, again, either bent knee or straight leg positions. Okay? So go ahead and get ready. And coming into Navasana. And then lower slowly down. And if you like, bring your hands up overhead. And now come back up into Navasana. And then lowering down into low boat. Arms either at the sides or up behind you. And coming back up into boat. And again, coming down into low boat. Maybe taking arms up overhead. Then coming back up into Navasana. And again, into low boat. And back up. And this will be the last one. Going back down into low boat. And then coming up into Navasana. And then go ahead and place your feet down onto the ground. Maybe give yourself a little squeeze. Bring your chest in towards your knees. And go ahead and get ready for our next plank. So again, coming onto our forearms. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Let's go. It's just 1 minute. There's so many minutes in our day. Never mind in our lives. You can definitely hold this for 1 minute, guys. You've got it. Already 1/4 of the way there. Squeeze with everything you have. Engage your thighs. Engage your buttocks. Keep your shoulders in their girdles and let your shoulders slide down. And we're halfway there. Keep breathing. Suck that belly button in. Only 15 seconds left. You can do it. 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come down onto your belly. Woo! Yeah, tired. All right. Our next exercise, we're just going to come back onto our back and lift our legs up. Just keeping the legs straight if you can. You can either keep your toes pointed or flex your feet. It doesn't matter. And all we're going to do is just lift up and reach as high as we can and then come back down. And reach as high as we can and come back down. All right? Let's do it. At your own pace, going up and down. If you feel more comfortable with your hands behind your head, that's fine. Definitely don't want to torque our necks. Just a few more. And one more. Whew. And go ahead and sit up. And get ready for another plank. Just get my chair. Oh. It's harder each time. All right, ready, set, and go. If you're bored, you can bring one hip down and then the other hip down, going side to side. And that engages your obliques. But we're pretty tired, or at least I am. So I'm just going to stick to the normal plank. And breathe. You can do this. Halfway there. Squeeze everything, everything, everything. Whew. 2/3 of the way. $15 seconds left. And 10. Almost there. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Woo. Go ahead and put your belly down. All right. One more time on our backs. Go ahead and lay back. And again, bring your legs up overhead. And this time we're just gonna twist. You're gonna take your right hand to your left ankle, left hand to your right ankle, and just keep going. Okay? Let's do it. At your own pace. Just make sure you're crossing over. You're getting good engagement in your obliques. Just keep going, a few more. One more on each side. Whew, and bend your knees into your chest. And go ahead and sit up. And we're going to do just one more forearm plank. Yay! It's our lucky day. All right, let me just get my timer. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1, let's go. It's our last one, I promise. Just try to keep everything engaged, your shoulders, your belly, your buttocks, your quads. The tighter everything is, the easier it is to stay. Woo. And that's 30 seconds. Halfway there. Take a break if you need to, but then come back. And keep breathing. That's 2/3 of the way. And 15 seconds left. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! And come down onto your belly. Oh my goodness. Let's do our little half over here to get a good stretch in our abs. So keeping your elbows on the ground, come onto the balls of your feet, extend your legs, taking your knees off the ground, and just gently bring your chest forward as you bring your elbows slightly back. You should feel a nice stretch in your front body as you look up. All right, go ahead and relax. So what I'm hoping we can work on that we need the strap for is king pigeon. So I'm hoping we've kind of warmed up everything. We've warmed up our shoulders and our hips and our back. So while you guys just rest there for a second, let me just show you kind of what we're working on. So you're going to start bringing one foot forward into a pigeon position. So that front knee is basically just in front of your hip, maybe just slightly to the side, but it's not like you're not rotated way out. It's pretty much straight in front. And then the back leg is extending back straight behind you. And then what you're going to do is you're going to bend that back knee and see if you can just get the same hand onto that same foot. And you're keeping this hip facing forward as best as you can. So you're not opening up to the side, but keeping everything facing forward. And then if you can get your hand to the knee, then that's a good start. And then you're going to work on, I'm going to turn so it's a little bit easier to see. And you're going to work on bringing that elbow up like this. So instead of being here with the elbow to the side, try to bring your fingertips pointing forward so you can bring that elbow up. And this is where a strap can be useful. Let me just grab something that is strap-like. I don't have any straps. Let's just use these pants. So you can take any sort of thing that you can loop around your leg and use that to bring the leg forward if you can't get your hand onto the foot. And then eventually, even with the strap, what you're going to try to do is rotate the same shoulder as that leg so that the elbow is pointed this way. So you take the hand back to the strap, and then as you bring the leg forward and bring the hand forward, you bring the elbow forward as well. And the reason to work on it that way is that that's the position you're going to eventually be in for king pigeon. So just working on that shoulder rotation, even with the strap, is really helpful. And then ultimately, what you're going to try to get to is to be able to grab this foot with your hand and then do that same rotation as you bring that foot to your head, theoretically. So steps to get there are to work with that. First, just this, bring the foot forward with your hand on your foot and see if you can get the elbow up. Then, or grabbing a strap and then using the strap to pull the foot in, trying to see if you can get to this type of position with the strap. And then from there, you can go to this position, which is getting just your elbow onto that foot. And then again, trying to keep your body facing forward. If your elbow's on that foot, you can take your other hand up overhead and try to clasp your hands. So there's a lot of intermediate steps to help you work on getting toward king pigeon. So I would say start with your hand on the foot, and if that seems like it's too far away, then grab a strap, and then just work on bringing that foot in. Yeah, and try to keep your, you want to keep both your hips facing forward like this. If you end up rotating over to the side, you're never going to be able to hold that position. It's not stable. You kind of need both hips facing forward. And the further out this front foot is, because sometimes we do pigeon like this, the harder it will be. So kind of bringing that foot back in just a little bit can help. And make sure you try both sides. I don't know if you guys have any questions. Yeah, that's good, Sarah. The other thing is, as you do this more, you'll work on bringing your, your hips toward the ground. It's natural to lift up when you're first trying to do this because these hip flexors are tight. And so that's something that will get better over time. So as you go to lift up, I do that too. I come up just a little bit, and then I try to sit back down. Mainly for stability. It's very hard to stay up here, but that takes time to work on getting that flexibility in the hips. So for now,
Do you have?
yeah, go ahead.
So I can't get my shin
Yeah,
perpendicular.
it doesn't need to be parallel. So, you know, the kind of most open pigeon is like this, with the front knee parallel to the mat, but that's not usually where that leg is for king pigeon. Usually that foot is brought in. Theoretically, this hip is supposed to stay on the ground the whole time. I find that for me, in order to get to that foot, I have to lift up for a second, and then I can sink back down. But this hip, you see this shin is still angled. It's a pretty steep angle toward my body. It's not straight out in front. So that's okay. Was that the question or no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's mine's, I think, more of an angle than yours, but it's maybe what it is right now.
More of a what, sorry?
More of an angle, like I don't, not even close to.
No, but it doesn't need to be for this. So this is different from like just if you're doing pigeon for the sake of hip opening, in which case you want to start to work on bringing that foot forward more so that your shin is more parallel to the front of the mat. But that's not even, at least I've not ever thought of that as a goal for the king pigeon. Like king pigeon, you want stability. So you just bring, like if you see from the side, look at this angle.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
It's not at all this. It's here. And then just trying as best as we can to keep this hip on the ground, keep this hip facing forward. See how I came up there? I always do that for me. I mean, I don't know if everybody needs to do that, but I need to do that. And then I come back down. Oops. But it's all a progression from here. So just even here or with a strap to get to here, whatever, wherever you're at, this is working towards it. Keeping this hip facing forward and then just bringing first the elbow to here if you can, or else taking that strap and then bringing the elbow forward with the strap around the foot. Or, like I said, this elbow, I really like this elbow one. I'm kind of, as you know, a minimalist with accessories, and you don't need anything special to be able to do this. And this is actually less pulling on this foot than this position is.
Yeah, I can't get there yet. Maybe someday.
Mm-hmm. I might say try with your strap. So put the loop around your foot and then take whatever, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't see your elbow, but it looks like you're in the right position there, like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing is to work on that as you grab this strap. So like, there, it's a lot harder to work with these leggings than it is with the strap. But anyway, so if I've got this, pretend this is a strap here, I'm going to turn to the side and grab wherever I think I need to on the strap, and then come forward. It's very hard to work back and grab further back from this position, but if you just start from the side and kind of grab where you think you need to, even if you're too close, you can always release forward on the strap. That's a lot easier than trying to grab backward on it once you're in that position. So just as you're working on it, that's something to keep in mind. Yeah, Fiber, that looks good. I'm sorry, I kept this a little bit over. So go ahead and, finish up the other side. Make sure you've done both sides. And then we'll wrap up. Yeah, whenever you're ready, just do one quick thing before Shavasana. Go ahead and lay on your back and come into Happy Baby. So grabbing the outsides of your feet, trying to bring your knees down to the ground by your armpits, and then keeping at the same time your tailbone down toward the ground. That might just help release your back a little bit. And you can rock side to side if you want. And then whenever you're ready, go ahead and straighten your legs out in front of you. And bring your arms at your sides with your palms facing up. Going into Shavasana. And remember, as always, to just be focusing on your breath here. The rest of your day has not yet started. You're still here. Taking a little time for yourself, which you deserve. Go ahead and start coming back to your body and start by maybe wiggling your fingers and your toes and rolling your wrists and your ankles. Maybe giving yourself a big stretch, stretching your arms overhead and your legs out in front. And maybe turning onto your side, cradling your head with your arms, and then pushing yourself up into a seated position. Sorry we went a little bit over. I was too excited about this sequence, and I lost track of time. But thank you for hanging in there, and I hope it was good and got some good energy moving. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.